two of my emails
Mhm.
and I think I'm on my third one. I'm doing some research for that today.
I love it. I think I'm gonna bump. I know that we had planned right now to February. We're definitely gonna talk about like identifying your love language and how it can impact all of these things and selling and marketing as well. But I think I'm gonna bump March's topic of email marketing out so we can do a whole thing about sales, like just sales, so that we can get everyone like hustling. But of course, I want the feedback from all of you guys because there's two topics that keep coming up, and that's like literally just tell me how to sell and make more money. And the other is building out teams. So I think we need to figure out where those fit. But the reason that you made me think of that is like now that they're in, like, what do we do with them when they're out? Yeah. Good morning, Britt. How are you?
Muted. Hi. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited
House in the background.
What's that?
What is that? Your apartment in the background?
I wish it was. I asked Jesse for a new house and he gave me a backdrop instead.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was so confused. I'm like, it looks like a backdrop, but it doesn't, it's not pixelated.
Yeah. Tricky. I know.
Love it.
Yep, it's a whole thing. So now I can record whatever I want.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yep.
I'm like, that's such a cool kitchen.
Right? I know. I'm like, it'd be great. We work upstairs and we live down here. Like,
New
like
form of manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
We just finished painting our dining room pink.
As you should in January in New York City. Yes.
Yeah. So like you stare at your homes all day. It's like hard not to fix things every 5 seconds.
The biggest challenge I have right now is not taking a week off of work to completely KonMari my house.
Wait, why don't you do that? You should do that.
Well, I would love to, but it would be impractical from my prior commitments. So I'm like, how can I KonMari 1 hour a day? Yeah.
Maybe do it like in April or something. Put a time in the calendar. You should put a few days because it's so nice to do it all together if you have the time. But
yes, and
have resources too.
Yes, I need to bring Nancy back. Yes. So welcome everybody to Monday, our new Rise and Thrive, the last one of January, which, I mean, I did not approve January going this quickly, so I need to talk to somebody about that. But on Thursday, we had a big conversation about the 4 phases of selling, or the 4 phases of launching any project that you want. And I'm curious what you guys have seen thinking about those 4 phases. And of course, Maddie, I'm curious what you thought this weekend about your correct paleo snack business. So all the things, and who wants to jump in first?
Something that because I have been brainstorming for a while about it, and I thought it was helpful because I had in mind like doing like a bunch of different things, and now I feel like I'm really trying to like just tune into one like item and really like perfect that. So I thought that was like really helpful, and yeah, just starting small and then like kind of going from there.
Awesome, thank you. And I know, Mikkel, you've been in action. You started writing your emails. What did you see when you saw the PDF that I made versus my scratch paper?
Well, the biggest thing I saw was that I had sort of a customer journey that I had started for a freebie that I was giving out, but something that was so simple and you feel like you do this for everything else, but I hadn't really, like, my first email wasn't even really who am I, you know? And I think because a lot of the traffic comes from YouTube, that I'm assuming people are like, you know, watching my videos and they know who I am, but you know, a lot of people don't. So I thought that was like, oh, duh, yeah, people should know who I am.
I would argue until Beyonce knows your first name, you have not finished introducing yourself to the world. Like that should be the guide, right? Like once people are like, oh yeah, Madonna or Oprah, Beyonce, once you're like a one name person, you can stop introducing yourself. So until then, like this is a never ending task. Mhm.
Right. That's a
I'm writing up a doc about like the fundamentals of brand marketing because that's really what the 4 phases are. It really is about like your brand and versus like product or service specific marketing. Because if we skip over brand marketing, like we skip over some key things. And I want to read you guys something that I wrote that I think brings some humor to this and maybe it'll bring some insights as well. As a business and entrepreneur is often thought of like a child. Parents do an incredible brand marketing for their new baby, and entrepreneurs should apply the same techniques. What does it look like for you to have a pregnancy announcement, a baby shower, and a birth announcement for your business? Those trending IG posts with babies on blankets for each month of their life, how could you do the same for your business? How are you using your website, your social, etc., to say hello and nice to meet you to everyone? I mean, parents are killing it just because they're obsessed with telling everyone about their awesome kid. So why don't we think about our business the same way? And why aren't we like pulling out photos of like our victories in business when we meet someone?
We maybe don't want to come off as like either we're maybe not confident about it or we don't want to come off as like braggy.
Yeah.
Like over like too much maybe, I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, great points.
In my industry, it's like we're behind the scenes, and it's what I struggle with is like, for those who don't know, I'm a stylist, and it's like you won't really see any activity from someone for a little bit, but then they'll post like a cover that they've styled, and it's like this mystery of like, how did they do that? And so you feel like you shouldn't be posting that kind of stuff. So that's something that I struggle with. And I actually did like a Q&A on my Instagram last week of like, what content do you guys want to see? And a lot of people are like, how did you get there? Like, what's the process behind the scenes? Like, what? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just not a natural thing for me to even want to post about. / I'm trying to like minimize my time on social media. So like what we were talking about, I missed last Thursday, but I know the theme of last week was like really focusing on time management and focusing on one pillar aspect at a time.
Mhm.
And so right now I'm working on hiring an intern, but now I'm like, I think I need to hire a social media intern because I like, it's not even good for my mental health to be sitting on Instagram and thinking about content. Like I'd rather just like plan it and give it to someone else to do. But so yeah, that's like something I think about, but it's like, where do I even start?
Mhm.
So that's my struggle with it.
Great, thank you. I have some comments on that, but I'll wait for everyone else to share. Mikhail, did you do a birth announcement for your business?
I didn't because at the time that it was birthed, social media wasn't a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, to Maddie's point, like I feel like sometimes those people who have kids and they just keep talking about them, they get on your nerves. And I just don't want to be that person. You know, I kind of feel like some days I feel like, okay, if you look back at my feed, is there like thing after thing after thing after thing, you know, talking about, oh, I have a class, oh, I have this, oh, and then blah, blah, you know, but I just have to keep reminding myself that most of the time nobody actually goes to your page and looks at your entire feed. They're just looking at what comes up. And that if people are not interested, they're not going to go anyway, you know. So it's like I always feel like, well, what if they're not interested? Well, if they're not interested, then beat it, you know. because, they shouldn't be on your page anyway. So
Yes. For, Leah and Miranda, I just put the excerpt from what I wrote that we were talking about into the chat so you can see it. A couple of things come up for me, both what you shared, Miranda, I'm sorry, not Miranda, Mikkel and Britt, all M's. So one is when we look at people who are super successful in our spaces, and they might not be an individual, right? Because sometimes it's easier to promote the pants off of a business when it's not us, right? So what are other people doing? Like if I look at just people who are known as like coaches and entrepreneurs, they're talking about what they're doing like all the time. And when I think about people who go to the extreme, like somebody who is super successful, but like to me is like, okay, you can stop talking about yourself, is like Gary Vee. Like he's like crossed the line for me. But who am I to judge, because the guy like poops money. So it's like not like it's clearly working for him. But when if you look at other people, like there's a way to mix it in. And so one of the tips that I would recommend for not making it about us, right? Because talking about us culturally is like, that's not what you do. It's not the polite thing. Also, we all know that us to us is boring. Like we're over ourselves. So we don't want to talk about ourselves. So how do we turn it around and instead talk about how we can help people who are really in a pain point, right? Like how can we make it about who we want to help? So like every time that I'm thinking about what I have to do on social media, it's like, I don't want to talk about me. Nobody cares. And then I get yelled at by Allison because people actually want to know something about me because I'm not talking enough about it. But I'm much happier telling everyone, like doing that education cycle, that step 2 in the 4 phases thing that we shared of, oh my gosh, like stop doing this, do this, like, let me help you. Here's what you could do. Like that space, like is much more empowering for me because I get to tell people like where the opportunities are. And I could literally start doing blurbs for every business or idea that you guys have in that space of how you could just talk to people in that education bucket, which is that phase 2 of, did you know? Like, here's how I can help you. Another part of this brand marketing fundamentals worksheet I'm making is about meeting your customers where they are. And we forget, because we're so into our business, we forget to go back to step 0. So we forget to go all the way back to like, who's really our ideal customer? Truly the person who would give us all sorts of amounts of money to help them is a person who has no idea what we're talking about. So if we say all the words we normally say, it'll go over their head because they've never heard that phrase before. They don't even know the definition. They don't know what we're talking about. And so there's this whole process of like, who would this product change somebody's life, right? So Maddie, thinking about your stuff, before people can buy something that's paleo, they have to know what paleo is. And like to educate somebody on paleo, you have to talk about like all the potential health benefits or other things. So there's this whole level of like an archaeological dig of like going back to the base layer and speaking from there and building up the audience, and then remembering to go back down and speak back up. Does that make sense? Right, so there are people who would love to take like your classes, Mikkel, who don't even know that, and this sounds crazy to us, especially people who've been in the industry, they don't know what Illustrator is, right? And like when we think about that, it's like, it makes my brain melt a little bit. But I have a client who teaches StoryBrand, that book I keep recommending. You can get certified to be an official StoryBrand coach or guide to like help people with their marketing. And we're talking about what she's doing, and I went, whoa, time out. I'm like, nobody knows what StoryBrand is. She goes, what? Everybody does. I'm like, no. Most people in the world do not know what that is. They don't know that book. They don't know this concept. And she had this light bulb moment of like, oh shit, like, right, nobody knows what this is. I keep assuming everyone does. So when you think about your business that way, what are some really obvious things that you could be telling your customers or potential customers?
I think just the interesting thing is something that you just said, which I'm like, ooh, I have two more emails. But the tech pack that I give away, the tech pack template,
Mhm.
I've realized that a lot of people have just heard this is what you need to do, but they don't really know
Mhm.
what it is or why they're doing it. They've just heard that this is what you need to, to give to somebody so they can get a sample.
Yeah.
But so they look for that and they're like, okay, I have a template, but like they have no idea why they're doing it. They don't understand the pages in it. Like they don't know anything. So I'm like, okay, I can give you a little education about what those things are, what it actually is, and then what, why you need it and what all those pages are for.
Mhm. Yeah. Like, yeah. Because even thinking back to like 14-year-old me, who I was like, I want to be a fashion designer. That's all I knew I wanted to be. Like, that's where it stopped. Like, anything after that sentence was like illuminating. So, yeah, I might have heard the word tech pack because I was nerding out on things, but I would have known what it was or how to use it. Or you don't just draw things on paper and someone else makes it beautiful. No? Okay. Right. So, Leah, did you want to share something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, so I've known about StoryBrand, and for the last couple of weeks, like there's been a couple of things lately that are like continue to freaking pop up in my life. I'm just like, I know. But anyways, so the StoryBrand has been one of them. And really like just started doing like some Googling the other day because I was like, I don't have time to read another book right now in my life. I want to, I just can't. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give him the spark notes on this book. So I ended up finding there's a website through StoryBrand where they literally guide you through writing out for totally for free your entire. So it's like, who's your ideal client? Who's the villain? Like, what are their internal problems? What are their external problems? And it was really helpful for me. I did it, and then I ended up just like copying it and pasting it into like a iCloud note, which actually then led me into organizing over 500 freaking iCloud notes this weekend on my laptop, which felt so fucking good. So yeah, if anybody like hasn't read the book and is in my shoes and you're just like trying to also like figure out like how to approach that, it's really helpful. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's an example of like a magical high value thing you can get for giving your email. And being on Donald Miller's email list, it's like one of the few emails I recommend because you don't need to read them all, but like he's sharing legit practical things that build on that. So if you go to just storybrand, I think is what it is, but they have lots of free tools that you can get access to. They also have like other courses and things in there as well. I listened to the book. So for all of you that are busy bees, right? Like I listened to it and I went on my walks and that's how I did it. In fact, I was like taking notes on my phone while I was walking around the neighborhood when I got something I really liked out of it. And he just came out with a new book as well, but 100% go and get the free, use the free tool on StoryBrand's little website.
You said it sparked a question in my mind. Are there any other like people like in particular that you really, really enjoy like being on their email list?
Yes, and let me get back to you guys. I'll drop some people into the feed in Thrive. Yeah, great
Thanks.
question. Okay, so we're talking about, we had the 4 phases of that PDF I posted last week after Thursday's conversation. And the other part of the homework was evaluating our businesses based on 3 factors. What actually makes us money and how much time are we putting into each piece, whether it's businesses, products, pillars, whatever. And then the third factor, which is I'm blanking, so I'm pulling it up. Because it was money, time. Oh, and is it ease of use? Like, is it something that we enjoy doing? Like, how easy is it for us to do it versus hard? And so I want to make sure that you guys are doing that project going into Thursday, because again, whether it's a business, a new business idea, or just something you want to achieve in your life that's on your goals list, because this whole month is about how do we organize everything we want to achieve to actually get it done, and get it done while doubling the output, sales, achievements, whatever we're doing. So again, how much is it costing us to do it? How much money are we making? How much time are we putting into it? And then ease of use is the bonus one. So this is where you'll start to see the things that we do naturally and the things that we resist. So if I'm going to switch from a non-business to a personal example, if you're trying to implement a workout routine, there's certain paths to workout routines, right, that are easier, more natural for us versus the ones we think we should do when we fight and resist and they're harder. The way to double our business or double our results is about finding the things that make sense. They seem so stupid and obvious that we're mad at ourselves for not doubling down on them earlier. So we have to evaluate what's on our goals and what's on our business list the same way. So what's really making us money? How much is it costing us to do that part of the business in time and in hours? And then what is easy for us to implement? Again, when I look at the coaching part of my business, I don't need to prepare to go to a coaching call, right? I just show up and we're in coaching mode. Versus the other parts of my business have lots of pre-work, during work, post-work. So they take up more time and more effort. Who's done some of this evaluation for their businesses and their goals list already? Any revelations, Britt?
Well, big revelation is that this revenue stream is very different now than it was before COVID. Mm-hmm. But I'm still, so basically like the virtual styling part of my business, I've been doing some trial and not really error, but I'm still kind of trialing the service out and realizing that it's right now is going to probably make the most money for me. But it's really, I underestimate how much time it's had to take me. Like I've had my intern helping me shop, but yeah, I'm realizing that part of that pillar right now is going to make the most business for me, but I'm struggling with like how to get the word out there without it being cheesy, because I still want it to be a really elevated service. And it's, yeah. And then also, like the celebrity part of my business is still, when I get the jobs, they're great. Great. Like the rates are kind of getting back up there, but we're still in like a weird standstill in the industry. So, but I realize that I do spend more time doing other things where I should really be focusing on how to get more business for my virtual styling part.
Yeah. So. No, and you hit on so many great things, right? Because if you guys come to Thursday having done that evaluation on your projects, goals, and businesses, right, that coming into Thursday's session, we can spend more time talking about, all right, now I see which one I should lean in on, or if I need to choose between one, I can help you guys walk through choosing the one you're going to double down on. But then you brought up a lot of great things, Britt, of like, cool, I know what I need to double down on, but like, what about all this other stuff that has to happen, right? So that's when you have to start making those next layer of decisions. So step one is like seeing which one you should double down on. And then it's a matter of, okay, if I'm doubling down on option B, what do I do for A? How do I optimize B? What do I do about C, D, all these other things I had plans? Like, how do I make it all work? And so Thursday's conversation is going to be the combination of all the stuff we've talked about so far, literal organization, our time availability sheet, the business evaluations and putting it all together so we can actually double down on something and not feel like everything else is going to shit or that we're going to lose our mind because we're doubling down somewhere. Does that make sense? Okay. So again, the thing I'd love you guys to do for Thursdays, of course, that exercise of those questions, and I'll post them again into the Thrive board in case you guys missed them. But also thinking about that excerpt that I posted in here, you know, why aren't we doing the announcements that parents do about their kids? What's the difference? And we started talking about it, right? What's the difference between parents having no shame to show us photos of their kids? And even before Instagram, right? There used to be like paper birth announcements, and it never stopped. These 3 phases of talking about babies has never stopped. It just keeps moving with the different technology and how we communicate. So what's the difference? And should there be a difference between how parents talk about their kids and entrepreneurs talk about their business? And what's in that space? What's this difference? And especially what's the difference for you? Because that can be something else that we can talk about and break down. Cool. All right, so it's the last week of January. Everyone get your hustle on, right? We're rushing to get whatever our goals are for January in. Sales goals, right? Client goals. We got 1 week to wrap it up. And then we'll move on to our next topic in February. But I will see you guys on Thursday with bells on. It's going to be fun. And if you need anything in the meantime, ask in Thrive, post comments or questions. You can see me, I'm a lot more active in there now. I'm like posting everything I think of for you guys versus holding it. So you guys feel free to do the same. All right. Any final thoughts or questions for the day?
I saw your
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I saw your post on a printer. Did you find a good option there?
Not yet.
Okay. Are you looking for something like super high end, or are you just like a laser printer, or?
I have a printer that works for black and white and works for dumb things, but it totally blows when it comes to like printing out pretty things. So I'm looking for a printer that will make things look pretty, just like I used to be able to print on the huge printers at work. How do I get that at home? That's my.
I use I've had HP for a while now, and it's like a basic printer, but like it works really well. What I do really like the most about them is they have a service called HP Instant Ink. And so you actually pay just a like I literally pay like $5 a month. Actually, I even downgraded to the $3 a month, and you get a certain number of pages every month, and then it goes into rollover pages. And every time your ink starts to get low, they immediately send you ink before like it runs out. So I don't know. I'd look into HP. I've been really happy with it, and it's been a really solid investment.
Is it inkjet or laser?
It's inkjet. Mine is, but they have different options.
Could you post the type and the number into Thrive? So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I've used HP for a while too. Right now my printer, I have to get a new one because it's an old one, but I had it for like maybe 2 years and I was very happy with it. Like not only black and white, but also color. I was in that same program that Leah was talking about with the ink, and it was great because many times that I have run out at like 2 a.m. and couldn't get my ink from Staples. But this one that I had was not only a printer, but also like a scanner. It faxed, although, you know, who like faxing. But like I said, it's old, so they don't do this model anymore. There's like another one up, and it's not that expensive either. It really wasn't that expensive.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah. Again, I can print out my tax forms, but anything pretty? Lame.
we go. Can I share something super exciting that happened to me?
Please.
And like really working on like some networking and just like really putting abundance out and just trying to just offer some good energy back out so that it flows a little bit better. And I connected with a really awesome acupuncturist, and I ended up landing a brand new space in downtown Santa Monica to start to treat clients and have an office, which I sat back yesterday and I literally was like, holy shit, I am living in the exact town that I originally wanted to live in California. And I just landed an office in the exact place that I wanted to treat clients. So yeah. I'm really
That's
excited about it.
huge. Thank you for sharing. That's magical. Who's inspired now?
If you're in California, hit me up. Come get a massage.
I love it. I love it. Any other good news? All right. Well, I'm gonna start asking for everyone's wins in our calls now too. All right, guys. Have an amazing week. Go be like Leah. Be awesome. And I'll see you guys on Thursday.
Bye guys. Thanks.
Thank you.